Okay. Good morning, guys, and welcome back. So we are done with couple of demo sessions, like around 7 to 8 demo sessions are done. No, not 7 to 8. I think 11 demo sessions are done. And yesterday I covered test plan document and its components. So what does a test plan document contains, isn't it? And all the previous sessions recordings are available on my YouTube channel. So some as public videos, some as private videos. So please let me know if anyone want to don't have access to those. Okay. So every batch has a playlist URL. Okay. Playlist means like list of videos, group of videos related to that batch recorded sessions. So this is your playlist URL, September 2023 batch, PT, JMeter, BlazeMeter, LoadRunner, September 2023 batch, wherein you have all the previous 11 videos. Okay. There are 11 videos till now. So please, I shared this playlist URL to everyone in the WhatsApp group. We also have a WhatsApp group for every batch. So once you confirm your joining, then I am adding you to the WhatsApp group test. So let me know if I missed anyone, right? But you need to confirm your joining and pay the fees to get added to the WhatsApp group. Okay. So log this. So this is the plan as of now. So this month we have 5 more days, right? 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 5 more days. So these 5 days I will be covering performance testing fundamentals, which are important for scripting. So you don't miss any of these sessions, it will help you a lot to do scripting easily. Scripting will become easy if you understand these concepts well. Okay. And from October 1st onwards, I am planning to split this batch into two. One morning batch and one evening batch, and these are the timings, tentative timings as of now. So JMeter in the morning, I'm planning to do it in the morning batch for JMeter from 8:30 to 9:30, and LoadRunner, I'm planning to start LoadRunner in the evening batch with tentative timings as 7:30 to 8:30. So this is the plan as of now, and both these LoadRunner and JMeter will be available as like both classroom and online. Both online and classroom. There will not be separate batches. So I will be, while I am in classroom, I will connect to the Zoom meeting, and those who want to attend online, they will join. They will join through Zoom meeting. But those who prefer to come to classroom, yes, you can come to the classroom. Venue is not yet decided. So I am working on that venue. So I will confirm the venue by this month end. Okay. By 30th or as soon as possible, I will try to confirm. But max month end, I will confirm the venue. Clear, guys? And which one is, which one again, which location is preferable between Amirpet and KBHP, guys? For you, which one is preferable, or which one do you prefer?
KBHP is fine.
Anything is fine. Okay. I am planning to start it in Amirpet only because we will have more students there only. Okay, at least for the first batch. I mean, previously also I ran some classroom batches, but this batch I want to start it after leaving my job. I left my job last week. I got relieved now. So I am planning to start in Amirpet only after, this is the first batch after I came into full-time trainings. Not audible. Someone posted that, who is this? Satya. Okay, 1 second, guys. So today let me cover request response cycle, the HTTP request response cycle. Okay. What does that mean? What does that mean? What do you mean by HTTP request response cycle is, first of all, you need to understand what is request, what is response, right? And by the way, guys, so we are, starting automation training as well. So that would be online training, of course. We will start with online training, and then if required, we will start classroom training as well. Okay. Now, so what is request response cycle? So what is a request first of all? What is a HTTP request first of all? Suppose you are accessing any application like Amazon and you type amazon.com, right? So you are sending a HTTP request to the server, HTTPS request. Here it is HTTPS request, right? So how can you say that it is a HTTP or HTTPS request is? If you observe here, if you click on the address bar, right, in the browser address bar, you see here the protocol. So HTTPS is the protocol here. Now, what is a protocol? What is a protocol here? Okay. So to be specific, we call this as communication protocol. Communication protocol. What is meant by communication protocol? So communication protocol means set of rules.
Some set of rules
for communication between what?
Browser and the server.
Right. Between, I will say client and server. So here client is called a browser is the client here. The reason why I am saying client is I already explained about see if it is a web-based application, browser is the client, isn't it? Isn't it? But if it is a desktop application, if it is a desktop application like Zoom meeting or Slack or any of this, so this is called as Zoom client. This is called as Zoom client software, right? Or else you have Telegram. I have Telegram installed on my machine, or WhatsApp installed on my machine. All these are desktop applications. I have WhatsApp installed on my machine. Okay. Now, when I am using WhatsApp as a desktop application, right? So this is called as WhatsApp client software. Understood, guys? If I am using WhatsApp from a desktop application like this is called as WhatsApp client software. Clear, guys? Or if I am using Zoom software or installed on my machine, this is called as Zoom client software. So that is why client is a generic term for any application, whether web application or desktop or mobile application, right? Client is a generic term. Is it clear, guys?
Yeah, Pawan, clear.
Okay. So what is communication protocol? It is a set of rules for communication between client and the server. Between the client and the server. Now, when you are sending a request, when you are hitting this URL, right, you are sending a HTTPS request to the server. So this is the request. This is called as HTTPS request. And you got a response from the server. What response you got from the server? This is the response that you got. The page that you see, this is nothing but HTTPS response. Clear, guys? Is it clear, guys? What is meant by HTTPS request and what is response?
It's clear.
HTTP or HTTPS request? HTTPS request and HTTPS response. Okay. So request is something which we send from. This request is something which we send from, yes,
client
to server or client to server, isn't it? Client or browser to server. Response is something that we receive from the server. Okay, STH means something, guys. Okay. That is a standard word, standard term only. Okay. STH means something. So request is something which we send from browser to server or client or browser to server. And response is something that we receive from the server. Clear, guys? Now what is request response cycle? What is the meaning of request response cycle is what happens from the moment you send the request in the browser till you receive the response from the server. So that is called as request response cycle. Is it clear, guys? What happens from the moment we send the request? Suppose you are sending a request Amazon, you typed amazon.com in the browser and you sent a request from the browser to server and you got the response from the server. Now what happens behind the scenes or what happens inside the browser from the moment you send the request till you receive the response, or what happened behind the scenes? Not only in browser, your request will go from browser to server, right? So what happens, what actually happens? What are the steps involved in this? Sending a request and receiving the response. So that is called as request response cycle. Clear, guys?
Yeah, clear, Pawan.
Okay. So are you able to, did this guy connect to the audio? Someone told that, they are not able to hear me, right? Satya, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have one more new join is Satya, and hey, you see this one? You see this? You know that what is that? On the top right, you are seeing some balloons flying.
Yeah, Pawan.
Performance testing lifecycle.
No, here on the top right. So you saw that. Okay, let me reload the page. You see there on the top right, some balloons flying.
Yes, Pawan.
What is it? When do you get that?
Huh?
You didn't notice before?
No, Pawan.
Okay. So we have Satya and one more. I saw one more new name, Shreya. Yeah. Shreya, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any other new join is Teja. Teja also, right? Teja, I already noted down. All right. So you understood, guys, what is request response cycle? What is the meaning of that? Why should we learn that request response? Why should we be aware of request response cycle? Is it clear now?
Yeah,
Now
Pawan.
let us see what happens from the moment we send a request to receive a response. What happens from the moment you send a request from the browser to server until you receive the response. So there are 5 steps involved in this request response cycle. There are 5 steps involved. So one is, and I gave some list of URLs also here, some examples over here. Okay. The first one is local processing. Local processing means on the browser side, there will be some processing done on the browser side. That is local processing. So what is that processing, guys? Browser extracts the protocol server name, optional port number, resource path, and query string. Browser, the moment you send a request, right? Browser will extract what is the protocol, what is the server name, what is the resource path, and what is query string over here from this request. That means browser will split that request into different parts like this. What are those? Protocol, server name, port number, resource path, and query string. Right? Guys, those who joined from today, there is no dependency on the previous sessions. Okay. So don't think that this is my first session. So don't lose the focus. Okay. So there is no dependency between today's session and the previous sessions. Everyone is using a lot of websites, and you know what is a request, what is a response now. I just explained now what is meant by HTTPS request, what is meant by HTTPS response. So this session doesn't have any dependency on the previous sessions. Is it clear, guys? Okay, because if someone join in the middle, they will think that okay, I missed the previous sessions. I will focus once I complete those sessions. No, this session doesn't have any dependency on the previous sessions. Is it clear?
Yeah, Pawan, clear.
Okay. Now, so I'll share this class notes document to you. So you need not take running notes or you need not worry about that. I'll share this class notes document to everyone once you confirm your joining. Okay. Now going back to this, what does the browser does? First, it will extract these details. What details? Protocol, server name, port number, resource path, and query string. Now you should know what is protocol, what is server name here. In the URL, if you see any URL, what is protocol, what is server name, what is resource path, and what is meant by query string. You should know that. You should know these details. Okay. And these details are required particularly for JMeter. You should know these details before you start JMeter scripting. Okay. You should know the must and should. You should know these details, all these details, particularly with JMeter. Clear, guys? Now let us understand what is this protocol, right? Protocol means, there are different protocols that application uses. One is HTTP and HTTPS. So let me take you to that slide. Okay. There are some important protocols that you should know. One is HTTP and the other one is HTTPS. And there are few more protocols called FTP, SFTP, etc., etc. But important protocols that you should know is HTTP, HTTPS, and HTTP and HTTPS for the moment. Okay. Later on, you can know like what is FTP. That all comes with, once you start working into some project, or once you get a job, you will know other protocols, lot of other protocols. For time being, you should know what is HTTP, what is HTTPS. So HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and it is a communication protocol used for, it is a protocol used for communication between server and the client. We already discussed that, right? And the standard port number of HTTP is 80. Standard port number of HTTP is 80. What is meant by port number now? What is this port number? Okay. This I'll explain this later, not required at this moment. Why HTTP is called as stateless, that is not required at the moment. It's too early to discuss that. But remember these things, whatever I have highlighted. Now, what is meant by port number? What is meant by port number, guys? So what is a port number? Let me do Google search. What is port number in a computer or in software world? What is port number in software or networking? Okay. So if you do a Google search, so what is this? A port number is a way to identify a specific process to which an internet or other network message is to be forwarded. Or I'll tell you some simple example. I'll make it simplified and I'll tell you some simple example. I have one demo application running on my machine. Okay. And I'll share this demo application to you later on. I'll share this demo application also to you. I'm starting that application and it is a web application, right? And web application means it can be accessed from a browser. Okay. Any application that can be accessed from a web browser is called as a web application. Now, this is the URL of that application, localhost 1080 webtoolsindex.htm. This is the URL of that application, right? And everyone know what is a URL. What is the full form of URL?
Uniform resource locator.
Resource language. Locator.
Uniform resource
Locator.
locator. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. Okay, Uniform Resource Locator. Now, so this is the URL of the application. Now, if you understand this URL, right, observe here, this is nothing but your server name. See, this application is running on my local machine. What is localhost, guys, by the way?
Our system.
Did I explain, cover that before? What is meant by localhost? No, I think I did not cover that. So what is meant by localhost? Localhost means nothing but local machine. Localhost means this is the default name of any computer. Default name of any computer. Clear? If you are using your laptop, on your laptop, localhost means your laptop, your machine, or your computer. So that is the default name of any computer. Default host name. Default host name of any computer. What is meant by host name? What is meant by host here? Host is nothing but your computer.
Yeah.
Okay, or your machine. Host is nothing but your host name means nothing but your computer name. Clear, guys? How to check the host name? I already covered that in the fundamentals in the first or second or third session. How to check your host name? Type a command prompt and simply type host name. Right? This is my host name. This is the given name. This is the given name. Dell XPS 7590 that is the given name. But by default, you will have some host name that is called as localhost. Clear, guys?
Yeah, clear.
Okay. And now, what is the IP address? What is meant by IP address? So every computer will have some default name as well as some default IP address. Okay. So what is IP address? What is meant by IP address, guys? What is meant by IP address? It is a unique identifying number assigned to any device connected to the internet, right? It is a unique identifying number assigned to every device connected to the network. Clear, guys? Every computer connected to the network will have a unique IP address or unique number. And how to check the IP address? You know that already I covered that. How to check the IP address of your machine?
IP config.
Use the command IP config, right? And what is my IP address now? You see, but you got a lot of details. You see something over here,
192
something over here, something over here. And what is the IP address of my machine now?
192.168.13.
Right. I am currently connected to Wi-Fi. Here you can see, right? How can we check whether we are connected to Wi-Fi or a LAN cable? By seeing this symbol, this Wi-Fi symbol, isn't it? Yes or no? If you see this Wi-Fi symbol, that means you are connected to to the internet with the help of Wi-Fi, isn't it? But if you are connected to a LAN cable, you see a different icon here. You will not see this Wi-Fi symbol here. Yes or no? If you are connected to a LAN cable, right, you'll see a different thing. However, I am connected to the internet with the help of by Wi-Fi, right? Now, this is the IP address of my machine. This IPv4 address. You have something called IPv4 address, right? This is something that we can read easily. Of course, it also has a IPv6 address. This is my machine's IPv6 address, right? But this is easy to read, right? 192.168.1.3. You should read it as 192.168.1.3. Please don't read it as point. Okay. Don't read it as point. Okay. Read it as dot. 192.168.1.3. Or else read it as 192.168.1.3. Clear, guys? So this is the IP address, current IP address of my machine. Clear, guys? IP address
Clear.
on my machine on 26th September. And is this a fixed one or does it change?
Depends on network connection.
Right. It changes from network to network. Suppose if I connected to, right now I am connected to my Wi-Fi router. Suppose if I switch off my Wi-Fi router or else I connect to my phone, to my mobile data, then will this IP address change or it will be same?
Will change.
It will change,
It will
right?
change.
It will change. This IP address will change. Depends on the network.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is called as private IP. One more thing is, this is called as private IP address. Now, when you have private IP, what is meant by private IP? Why it is called as a private IP? So assume this thing. Suppose you are at home and you connected, your laptop and your mobile. You are, connected to the internet from your laptop and mobile. Now, what is IP address, guys? It is a unique identifying number, right? It is a unique identifying number assigned to every device connected to the internet. So your laptop will have some private IP address. Now, does your phone also have some IP address? Smartphone, if it is a smartphone, and if you are connected to the internet from the smartphone,
Yes.
will you have a separate IP address for your mobile?
Yes, we will have.
It should be there, right? Because every device connected to the internet should be having a unique identifying number. So definitely your mobile also will be having some IP address, right? Now, why this is called as, and what IP address is that? Is it a public IP or private IP?
It's a private IP address.
It's a private IP address. What is the meaning of private IP? Private IP means the IP address within the network, that is called as private IP. That means, suppose if 5 computers are connected to 5 devices are connected to your Wi-Fi router, right? So each device will have a specific private IP address. Suppose you have 2 laptops, office laptop and your personal laptop, and you have a smartphone, right? And these 3 devices will have 3 different private IP addresses. Okay. But to the external world, there will be something called public IP. When you say private IP, that means, there should be something called public IP also, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Now, what is this public IP? What is the meaning of public IP? The IP address with which your network is visible to the external world, that is called as public IP. Clear, guys? What is meant by public IP? What is meant by public IP address? The IP address that can be accessed directly over the internet and is assigned to your network router by your internet service provider, right? That is something, that identifies your network router. by your ISP, internet service provider. That is called as public IP. Now, how to check that public IP? How to check public IP? Those who are already working, some people are already working, right? You should be aware of this. How to check public IP?
We can type my
Online we
my
can
IP
search.
address, my public IP.
Right. Go to any browser and type what is my IP.com. Okay. Type what is my IP.com. Okay. So, and this is the public IP. You see here clearly it is mentioned here. My public IPv4 is 136.185.127.95. Right? Isn't it? And my ISP is Bharti Airtel. So I'm using Airtel broadband now at the moment. Okay. So ISP means internet service provider. Clear, guys? Is it clear? So how to
Yep.
check public IP and private IP? Now coming back to this, where are we, guys? Yeah. And what is port number, by the way? What is port number? Now I have a sample application running on my local machine, and this is the URL of that sample application. Okay. And it is running, observe here, 1080 is the port number here. Whatever you have after the server name, this is my server name. Server name in the sense, this application is running on my local machine. For this application, the server, it is running on my local machine. That's why this is the server name. And now it is running on a port number 1080. Clear, guys? Port number 1080. What is meant by port number now? Guys, what is meant by port number?
Through which it may communicate to the network.
Right. Port number, you know, a computer will have multiple in thousands of port numbers, some 65,000 something. So what is the port number? I think we already did a Google search, right? So let me close this. We already did a Google search, right? What is meant by port number? Okay, let me do port number. Port number in networking, right? So what is port number? A port number is a way to identify a specific process to which an internet or other network message is to be forwarded when it arrives at a server. So when there are multiple programs running on any computer, each process or each program will be having some port number. Here in this example, my sample application is running on this port number, and it will be listening on this port number for any incoming requests, right? So ఎవరైనా ఈ application access చేయడానికి చూస్తున్నారా అని, it will be keep listening on this port number. And now when the moment we send a request, it will receive that request, it will process the request, and it will show the response. Okay. So this is the port number, and port number is optional. One more thing I made a note here is port number is optional. Okay. Every application will not have port number. Generally, your online applications, they will not have port number. Okay. They will not have port number, will be masked actually. They will have port number, but it will be masked. So that's why I mentioned here as optional port number. And now what is meant by resource path? What is meant by resource path? Okay. Before that, you should understand what is a web resource. Web resource. What is meant by a web resource or web page resource? Let me be more precise. Web page resource. What is meant by web page resource? So web page resource means component of a web page is called as web page resource. Component of any web page is called as a web page resource. Now, what is a web page? What is meant by a component, guys?
Part of something.
Part of something is called as a component, right? Now, what are the different parts of the web page, or what is a web page made up of? Any web page. What is a web page made up of?
HTML,
Components.
HTML,
CSS, JavaScript.
CSS, JavaScript.
JavaScript.
Any web page consists of all these, right? HTML, CSS,
XML.
JavaScript, images. There will be some images, XML content, yes, or JSON content, right? XML or JSON content. Okay. Again, this is another important interview question. What is the difference between XML and JSON? Very, very important interview question. Okay, whether you are into manual testing or automation or performance testing, this is very important interview question. What is the difference between? We'll discuss it later between XML and JSON. Okay. Now, any web page will be consisting of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, some images, some XML content, JSON content, etc., right? All of these are called as web page resources. Each one is a resource of the web page. Okay, or a web page, any typical web page will be made up of different components like this. Okay, now, is it clear what is meant by a resource or web page resource or a resource?
Upon clear.
Clear, this part is clear now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right now, what is meant by resource path? Resource path means nothing but path of that resource, location of that resource. Resource path means nothing but path of the resource. For example, here, what is the resource here? Web page resource here?
Index started.
Index.html. So this is a HTML page. Index.html is basically a HTML page. And now that HTML page is there in this path, in WebTools path. Now let me show you that path. If you go to the server folder, right click and open file location, there is something called htdocs, right? Htdocs for HTML documents. Okay. Inside that HTML documents, there is a folder called WebTools. Inside that, there is this page, index.html page. And it is a HTML document. HTML and same. Okay, don't get confused with this. Whether you call it is, name it as HTML or HTML, both are HTML documents only. Clear, guys? If you want, I will show this code. Let me open this code in Notepad++ and show you that. Okay, now see here. So this is a HTML document. Any HTML document starts with this tag called HTML, this one, right? This tag, you will have this tag. Okay. Not only this local application, whether you are accessing any online application as well. Suppose if you take Amazon example, if you right click and see the code, right? Control U is the shortcut for seeing the code, or page source, view page source. See here, doc type HTML. That means this document is HTML. The document type is HTML. That's what this means. Understood, guys? This is the source code of HTML Amazon page that you are seeing here. Clear, guys? This is the HTML code of that Amazon page that you are seeing. Understood, guys?
Upon clear.
Doc type HTML means document type is HTML. Okay. HTML lang is equal to en_us, en-us. What does that mean?
English use.
Language is US English. En for English, US for US is the country code, en is the language code. Okay, etc. The remain, and you have a lot of HTML code. You need not understand all those, but but understand that this is the HTML document. Yes or no? So in the same way, for this local application also, there is some HTML document over here, and the name is index.html. And where is that page? Index.html is there in a folder called WebTools. Now you understood, you should understand what is resource path. This is called as resource path now. This HTML document is the web page resource, and this is the path of that resource. Is it clear, guys?
Upon clear.
What is
Yes.
meant by resource path? Okay. And query string is not there. In this example, query string is not there in this example. But what is meant by query string? What is meant by a query string? I'll show you some query strings. I'll show some example. Okay. What is meant by a query string? Is any string after a question mark in a URL. Question mark in a URL is called as query string. Okay. The string after question mark in a URL is called as a query string. Clear, guys? I'm recording. Suppose you go to the same Amazon.com and you search for some product. Let's say you searched for iPhone 15. iPhone 15 got released recently, right? Suppose you search for iPhone 15. Okay. And see the URL now. Copy this. Let me copy this URL. And let me paste it here. See, there is a question mark here. See, what is this? This is protocol. And this is your
This is path.
what is
Server
this one?
name.
Server
Server
name.
name.
And what is this one?
Resource.
Resource path.
That is resource path. Okay. Whatever is there after the server name, that is resource path. This is resource path. And you see a question mark over here, and you see some, some string after that question mark, right? This is called as query string. This is called as query string. Understood, guys? You searched for iPhone 15 and the request went to the server in this format. And you got the response like this. You got the response like this. Where is the response? This is the response that you got from the server. Clear, guys? Now you understood what is meant by query string.
Yeah, Bob.
Yes, Bob.
Or suppose if you are searching for two trains, you go to like Redbus or Redbus application or IRCTC or take any application, any of these applications. 1 second, guys. So suppose okay. Recently I searched from my hometown to Hyderabad. That's why it is shown that, right? So there now here observe here. This is the query string, right? This is my hometown, guys, by the way. Okay, and now this is the what is this called as?
Resource
Resource
path.
path.
Resource path. In this example, this is called as resource path. This is the server name. This is called as resource path, and this is called as query string.
Query string.
Query string. And now query string contains, observe here. Let me go to the previous example, which is I noted down in your class notes, right? So query string contains multiple key value pairs. Okay, multiple key value pairs or name value pairs separated by an ampersand. Separated by an ampersand. So this is one name value pair. This is another name value pair. This is another name value pair, etc., etc. Okay, and there are how many key value pairs here? If you search for, how do you know that? You can simply search for AND symbol. Each key value pair will be separated by an AND symbol, isn't it? And if you see the count, let me copy this to Notepad++. Okay. And if you search for AND symbol and see the count, right? There are how many key value pairs are there? It has 3 AND symbols. That means there are 4 key value pairs. Okay. See, the first one will not have any ampersand. So this is one key value pair. This is second key value pair. And third key value pair from here to here. And then this is fourth key value pair or name value pair. Okay. And that is also simple to understand. So what did we search for? Observe here. We searched for iPhone 15, isn't it? So that went as a key value pair. The search string went to the server as one key value pair. Understood, guys?
Yes.
Follow. So a query string contains multiple key value pairs. Those are also called as name value pair. Name value pair. Key value pair is also called as a name value pair. So, and each key value pair is separated by an yes, ampersand symbol, AND symbol, right? So that is read as ampersand. Clear, is? Now, okay. Now, first, the moment you send the request from the browser, so first your browser will split the URL into these parts. It will try to understand what is the protocol. It will extract what is the protocol, what is the server name. If there is any port number I mentioned it as optional. That's why. So every URL doesn't contain port number. Okay, and on what basis that will be there. We'll discuss that later. For now, remember that port number is optional, and it will also extract what is the resource path and what is the query string. Okay. And I gave some examples here with color coding. Observe here. Protocol is, I marked protocol in brown color, where, and in all the previous examples, I gave that mention that protocol in brown color, and then server name in red color. That means in this example, this is the server name. In this example, this is the server name, right? So that is the meaning of that color coding. And port number, I marked it in violet color. This is violet color, right? So here, this is the port number, and no, sorry, this is blue, right? Sorry. This is violet color, right? Resource path. Resource path is marked in violet color, right? To help you understand easily, I used color coding here. And this example doesn't contain query string. That's why I did not mention that, okay? But, like browser will extract this information first. The moment you send a request in the browser. Now, then it will try to find the IP address of the server. It will try to find out it means here browser tries to resolve the IP address of the server. right? We just now discussed that every computer, every device connected to the internet will have a IP address, isn't it? So it will try to resolve what is the IP address of the server. Suppose in this example, the moment you type the URL, it will try to find out it will try to resolve what is the IP address of Amazon.com. Okay. And how does it try is, first it will look into the browser cache. That means previously, if it will see Amazon, you might have accessed this Amazon page previously on the same system. Then at that time, it might have performed all these steps, right? At that time, it should have resolved the IP address. So it will look into the browser cache to see if there is any IP address. What is the IP address of that particular URL? If it is not found in the browser cache, it will look into the operating system cache. If it is not on your system, OS cache means operating system cache, right? If it is not found there also, then it will look into the router cache. Router cache means, see, multiple users may be connected to the router, right? And if any user accesses any application, the IP address will be stored in the router cache. So it will look into the router cache. If it is not found there also, then it will look into the DNS cache. Now, what is DNS cache? First of all, what is meant by DNS? So
Domain
DNS stands
naming,
for,
sir.
yes, anyone?
Domain naming, sir.
Domain name system or domain name server. DNS stands for domain name server or domain name system. Domain name system. Okay. So now it will look into the DNS cache. DNS in networking. Okay. Now what is DNS? Domain name system. Now what is this DNS? What is this DNS case? Well, it is responsible for translating the domain names into a specific IP address so that the initiating client means browser here, right, can load the requested internet resources. So if you want to access any website, right, first, your browser should get what is the IP address of that server. Okay. IP address of that server. Then it will send a request to that server. So in this process, it will try to find out the IP address of that URL. And if it cannot find in any cache, any of these cache, browser will fire a DNS request. Browser will send a request to the DNS system itself. It will send a request if it cannot find the IP address anywhere here. Okay. And what is DNS? What does a DNS contain? So your DNS domain name system will contain domain names are like this, followed by IP address of Amazon.
IP address.
So can we check the IP address of Amazon?
Yes. Ping Amazon.
So if you use ping command, you can see the IP address. So what is the IP address of Amazon? 205.251.242.103. So what does your DNS system contains is, it will contain domain name followed by IP address. Each domain name followed by IP address of that. So it will contain, domain name server will contain a table like this, entries like this. Okay. Let me insert a table. Okay. It will contain the entries like this. So domain name followed by domain name and the corresponding IP address. The corresponding IP address is this one. So it will contain some information like this. So this is called as domain name, and this is IP address of that domain. Clear this? So this information will be contained in the DNS server. Now, if the browser cannot find the IP address in this cache, right, then it will send a request to the DNS server, and DNS server will send this information. It will send what is the IP address to the browser. Understood, guys? And it's the same way, so you can check the IP address of gmail.com, etc., etc. Ping gmail.com. Simply use ping command, and this is the IP address of Gmail. 142, this one. Understood, guys? So all this information will be there in this DNS server like this. Amazon, Gmail, Apple.com, Google.co.in, all the IP addresses will be stored in this DNS server. Something called DNS server. Now, once browser sends a request to the DNS server, DNS server will send the IP address of that server that you are trying to access. Now, once it gets the IP address, then browser establishes a TCP connection and that process is called as TCP handshake. What is TCP handshake? Establishing a TCP connection with the server by the browser is called as TCP handshake. What is TCP, by the way? You might have heard this, read these terms in your graduation, your BTech or your MCA, right? Or no? Do you remember this?
Transfer control protocol.
Transmission control protocol. TCP stands for transmission control protocol. Okay. TCP IP and kuda vinuntaru, isn't it? IP stands for internet protocol. Right? So now once the browser gets the IP address, it will establish a TCP connection. That process is called as TCP handshake. And now once it opens a connection, then it will send that request. Whatever you type in the browser, right? That request will be sent to the server after getting the IP address and after establishing a TCP connection. And that request can be of multiple types. There are different request methods called get, post, put, delete, patch. That request can be of multiple types. And these are the different types of important types of request methods called get, post, put, delete, patch. Okay. Now, what is get method? What is post method? What is put and delete? We will understand in the next session. For now, let me show you what is the, how to check the method. For example, okay, I am opening a new browser and I am typing amazon.com. Okay. And I want to see what type of request is this, whether it is a get request or a post request. I want to see that. Enter the URL and go to the first URL. What is the first IP address? What is the first URL that we typed? Amazon.com, right? Isn't it? Where is that, guys? Where is that? Okay. Hold on 1 second. I will open another browser, Edge browser. Okay. And launch something called developer tools. Okay. This tool is called as developer tools. Okay. We'll discuss what is a developer tool and what is the importance of that. We'll discuss that. But for now, let me, there is some default page here. Hold on, guys. Hold on. So let me open, a new instance of Chrome itself. Function F12. So this is developer tools. Now, so once you launch the developer tool, suppose if you type the URL, yeah, this is the URL that we typed, right? Now see this, the request method is a get method. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now what is get method? What is the meaning of that? Okay. Let us understand this. I'll show that with the help of this local application example. Okay. That will be easy for you to understand. So when you are typing this URL, right? Let me open developer tools here in this browser. And now I'm sending a request again. Now see here. Oh, what is this? I think the server stopped. No, it is running. Localhost.com. Sorry. So let me open a private browser and open developer tools. And now let me send a request. Right? I'm sending a request to, I am hitting the URL of that application. Now, if you observe this is the request method is a get method. Okay. What is this get, post, put, and delete is? First, let us understand get method. It is simple. You are simply asking the server to get this page for me. Okay. Browser is sending a request to the server saying that, hey server, so web2 server, so can you please get this page for me? Get this index.page for me. Can you get this page for me? So this is a get request, as simple as that. Understood, guys?
Yeah, bro.
Okay. Now, the request methods can be different methods. They can be get, post, put, delete, patch. We will discuss later what is post method, when it is used, what is put method when it is used, and when is a delete method used, when is a patch method used. We will discuss that later. But all these concepts are important for for scripting purpose. All these request methods are important for scripting purpose. Okay.
Yeah.
Now once the browser sends a request, right? The server processes the request and server sends the response to the browser, and browser receives the response and renders the page as a response. Suppose if the server is running fine, your server will receive this request, HTTP or HTTPS request, HTTP or HTTPS request, right? And then server will process the request, and browser, the response will be sent to the browser, and the browser will render the page as a response. Browser will render the page as a response. That means rendering means it will, the moment it receives the response, right? It will not receive response like this. It will receive the response in the form of bits and bytes, isn't it? It will receive the response in the form of bits and bytes. Now, once it receives the response, it will render the response. It will arrange the response like this. This Amazon image should be in the left side of the top left of the page. Cart symbol should be on the top right of the page. So this is called as rendering of the page. This search box should be in the middle of the page. All this code will be there in. How does browser know that? How does browser know that, the image should be, Amazon logo should be on the left side and cart symbol should be on the right side, and the search box should be in the middle of the page? How does browser know that?
CSS.
Right. All this code will be there in CSS file. And now browser will read that CSS file and it will render the response to you, and it will show you a proper page. So this is what happens behind the scenes from the moment you send a request till you receive the response. Clear, guys? Any queries? Speak out, guys. You have to speak out. Say yes or no.
No dots.
Okay. If you don't have any queries, I will ask you some questions in the next session.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. So this is request response cycle. So this is what happens from the moment you send a request till you receive the response from the server. The moment you send a request from the browser till you receive the response from the server, behind the scenes, this is what it happens. Or this is what, that happens, and that is how we are seeing the response. Clear, guys?
Yeah.
So all right, then if you don't have any queries, okay, we'll stop it here for today and we'll continue tomorrow, guys. So I want to, before stopping the session, I want to know from the new joinees, Shreya and Vamsi and who all are the new joinees? Nirosha is joining from yesterday. So are you able to follow Shreya and Vamsi?
Yes, sir.
Teja and one more. This guy is there. Is this guy there? I forgot his name. Who is this? Someone, I saw one new joinee, right? Satya. Satya. Do you have Satya? Okay. Okay. I think he got a power issue. Power failure. Yeah. Are you able to follow, guys? Teja, Shreya, and Vamsi?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you understand this, like local processing and all this, like you will understand, like this will be helpful, or these are important concepts to understand for understanding performance testing, right? Because, in performance testing, what do? We will measure the first, the core important thing of performance testing is to measure the response time of the page, isn't it? Response time of the page. What is meant by response time? Suppose you are sending a request to this, you are trying to access apple.com website, let's say. You are sending a request to the server and server is sending the response. And how much time it is taking to receive the response? That is called as response time. The time taken to receive the response from the server, the time taken from the moment we send the request till we receive the response, right? This is called as response time of the page. So to understand that, you need to understand these basic concepts. Okay. To do this performance testing, you need to understand these basic concepts, and what is request, what is response, what is server name, what is port number, what is resource path. These concepts will be helpful once you start scripting. And what is this TCP handshake, or what are these request methods, right? All these concepts are fundamentals, are basics for understanding, for doing performance testing. Okay. So I'll stop it here for today and we'll continue tomorrow.